My brother told my mother he was being bullied in boarding school. She told him to stay strong. A few weeks later, he came back home in a coffin. And the worst part, the boys who failed him are still not brought to justice. People ask what really happened to Ademo. The school called it an accident. They said no one knew how it happened. But my brother had been telling people for weeks. He was not safe there. And nobody truly listened. When Ademo went back to school after the holiday, he already knew what was waiting for him. That is what breaks me now. He did not go back blind. He went back afraid. And still, he went. Because he was 14. Because he trusted adults. Because children do not really get to choose. The first time those seniors came for him, it was late at night. Not midnight. Not some dramatic movie hour. Just late enough for the hostel to be quiet. 3 seniors came to his hostel. Femi, Musa, and Emeka. If you have ever been in a boarding school, you already know the type. They stood at the door and called his name. Ademo. Come. That is how fear works in places like that. It does not always need noise. Sometimes it only needs a name spoken by the wrong person. He followed them outside. That was what juniors were expected to do. That was what survival looked like there. They handed him empty buckets and told him to fetch water. The tap was far. The night was cold. The buckets were heavy. By the time he came back, his arms were burning. His uniform was damp. His chest was rising hard. They looked at him and laughed. Then one of them told him to go again. So he went. And when he came back the second time, they poured the water on the ground. Right in front of him. Then they told him to fetch it again. I want you to understand something. This is how some people start breaking a child. Until the child learns he can be humiliated in front of others and the world will keep moving. That was only the beginning. Soon, they stopped using buckets alone. They would come for him in the evening. Sometimes at night. Sometimes after lights out. They made him wash clothes. Carry things. Stand for no reason. Kneel for no reason. Run endless errands. If he tried to explain, they called it disrespect. If he stayed silent, they called him proud. Cruelty does not want obedience. There was a bush behind the school where both students and teachers rarely went. A narrow, dark path where very few people passed. A hidden place. They started taking him there. At first, maybe for threats. Then for punishment. Then for beatings. One student later whispered that he once saw Ademo return from that side of the school with dust on his shirt and one side of his face swollen. My brother had tried to clean himself before coming back. He was still trying to hide his pain. Still trying to look normal. That is how many children suffer. Quietly. And yes, he reported them. At least once. Maybe more. One night, after they had treated him badly, he went to the hostel master. He was shaken. Dirty. His voice was not steady. He told the man what was happening. That the seniors kept calling him out. That they forced him to fetch water. That they took him to hidden places. That they punished him. That they beat him. That he was scared. And the hostel master listened. Do you know what he said? He said, that is how seniors behave. Just avoid them. How does a child avoid danger in a place he cannot live? That was the moment the school chose the seniors over my brother. Maybe not on paper. But in truth. That was the choice. Ademo told our mother too. This is the part that broke her long before her body gave up. He told her they were punishing him. And my mother, already broken by my father's death, already struggling with little money and too much worry, told him to endure. She told him to respect his seniors. She told him to stay strong. Then she said the words that never left her. You are the man of the house now. He smiled when she said it. That is the part that hurts. He smiled. Not because he believed it, but because he loved her. Because children often comfort their parents by pretending they are okay. The last day began like any other day. No more school life. Uniforms. Bell. Lessons. Voices. Footsteps. And somewhere inside all that no more, my brother was being led to his death. The seniors came for him again. One boy said he saw them call him over. Another said he saw him walking behind them later. Head down. Shoulders low. No bucket this time. No bag. Just himself. Which means he went there carrying nothing but fear. Maybe he thought it would be another punishment. Maybe he thought if he endured one more time, they would finally stop. Maybe he knew it was worse. They took him into that narrow, dark place near the school. And there, away from open eyes, they attacked him again. I was not there. I will not pretend I know every second. But I know enough. Enough to know he suffered. Enough to know he begged. Enough to know he fell. Enough to know he did not get back up. Whatever happened in that bush ended with my brother lying on the ground while the rest of the school day continued. Children somewhere were still laughing. Teachers somewhere were still talking. Life was still moving on around the place where a 14-year-old boy was dying alone. The boys ran away when they saw he was no longer moving. My brother was already weak and sick when they punished him and caused his death. One day, it was just me and my mother at home. I remember it like yesterday. My mother answered the phone like it was any normal call. At first, her voice was calm. Then her face changed. Then she said, "What happened?" Then louder, "What do you mean? What happened?" And then she fell. Just like that. One moment standing. The next moment on the floor. I had seen grief before when my father died. This was different. This was not just sorrow. This was guilt entering the room and staying forever. The school told us he was dead. But even then, they did not say it clearly. They hid behind confusion. They made up a story and told all the teachers. If they admitted the truth, the school would be in trouble. So they agreed to hide it. They told my mother that Adamu fell from his upper bunk and died. When my mother and my uncle went to the school to carry his body and find out the truth, they were told his body had already been taken to the morgue. That was too fast and very suspicious. My mother and uncle left immediately after hearing the news, and the school was 3 hours away from our house. When they got to the morgue, they carried my brother's body, but he changed too fast. The morgue had already opened him and did some things to cover up what they were hiding. My mother cried so much that she lost her voice and could no longer speak. They kept Adamu's body in a morgue near our area. The news spread across social media because my uncles and aunties spoke out. They demanded justice and the truth about what happened to Adamu. The police got involved and started a case. But there was corruption. They kept bribing their way out. My mother kept crying. The hashtags were trending. Hashtag what happened to Adamu. Later, one of Adamu's friends came to our house with his mother and told us what really happened. The truth broke my mother completely. After a few months, everything went quiet. No one was talking about the case anymore. Not the police. Not the court. That was when we knew there was no hope. So my family buried my brother. But nothing was ever the same again. There is no justice in the society we live in. Please, parents, pay attention to your children's cries, especially those in boarding schools. My mother blamed herself every day. She stopped sleeping. Stopped eating well. Sometimes I heard her crying at night, trying not to let me hear. Within a year, my mother got sick. People gave it different names. Stress. BP. Weakness. Complication. But where I come from, people also know another truth. She died carrying my brother inside her grief. That is the plainest way I can say it. She never forgave herself. And maybe that is the cruelest part of all. Because the people who truly failed him kept living. After my mother died, I went to stay with my uncle in the village. He had 2 sons and 1 daughter. But I was not really there. Grief had moved with me. You can take a child out of a broken house, but you cannot always take the broken house out of the child. My name is Ishmael, and I am 20 years old now. Thanks for staying till the end. Please subscribe, like and comment.